And that commission, the scope of work is going to go far beyond that health care issue. That ultimately this commission will have to produce a report by the fall recommending ways to improve the state's prison system. The commission members will have access to prison facilities, a lot of detailed records, and the opportunity to interview inmates about the living conditions on the inside. Now, those members include state lawmakers, former inmates, family members of current prisoners, and activists. This was more of an introductory meeting where the commissioners spoke in very broad terms about the issues facing inmates and staff. Hobbs opened the meeting by reading from prepared remarks before leaving. Here's the governor explaining why she created this commission in the first place.
For too long, stories of inadequate health care of inmates, living in inhumane conditions, of inmates and officers being put in unnecessarily dangerous situations, and of a general lack of transparency have unfortunately become the norm. As part of my commitment to build an Arizona for everyone, I'm determined to change that.
State prison system has made its share of headlines in recent years, and usually for the wrong reasons, from doors that won't lock to botched executions to a broken health care system. Even Amnesty International has made allegations of ill treatment of inmates. The panel will take a look at all of those issues. Again, this commission is expected to produce that report by the fall recommending improvements, and many of those improvements could likely lead to proposals in next year's legislative session. In the newsroom, Dennis Welch, Arizona's Family.